And in sports, Ohio football cleaned up at the MAC postseason awards. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Mondragon. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Breaking news out of Waverly, Ohio. After 51 days of testimony and 7.5 hours of deliberation, jurors reach a verdict in the Pike County massacre trial. Jurors have found George Wagner, the fourth, guilty on all 22 counts related to his involvement in the murder of 8 members of the Roden family back in 2016. Jurors sat through hours of testimony from more than 50 witnesses, most notably Wagner's brother, mother, Jake, and Angela Wagner.
George Washington Wagner IV is guilty of aggravated murder as charged in count 1 of the indictment. It says
the pair testified against George as a part of their plea deal they took last year, sparing them from the death penalty. Wagner faces life in prison, and a date for his sentencing has not yet been set. A man from Stuart, Ohio is facing drug trafficking charges after a search conducted by the Southeast Drug Task Force this week. The task force executed a warrant by entering James C. Smith House on State Route 329. During the search Monday, authorities say they found multiple items related to drug trafficking and seized a large amount of suspected methamphetamine. The 36-year-old now faces 2 third-degree felonies, including possession of a controlled substance and trafficking drugs. Smith is now being held at the Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail, and the items seized will be sent for testing at the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations. According to the task force release statement, the Athens County Prosecutor's Office may request other charges regarding the investigation. A Logan woman and her boyfriend face second-degree felony charges of child endangerment related to the death of their 10-month-old daughter. 24-year-old Daisha Summers and 33-year-old Jerry Johnson are scheduled to appear in court for preliminary hearings this morning. This week, 10-month-old Kamala Summers was taken to Hocking Valley Community Hospital with extensive bruising to her side and facial area and a fractured skull. Kamala was not breathing and put on life support, but was declared dead 2 days later. Summers and Johnson claimed to have found the child after she fell out of her bed around 3 a.m. Summers admitted to smoking methamphetamine the day prior, with Johnson under the influence of marijuana and alcohol. A measure to decriminalize the possession of fentanyl testing strips is heading to the Ohio House Chamber. An Ohio House committee unanimously passed along the bill. Currently, the law classifies test strips as drug paraphernalia. An additional measure being considered provides immunity for people who used or distributed testing strips. According to the CDC, over 5,000 people died in overdose of 2020. These new laws are part of a measure to expand naloxone and testing strip access to decrease these numbers. A mass shooting survivor is calling on lawmakers to pass a bill that makes changes to how someone buys a gun. Whitney Austin was hit 12 times in 2018 when a gunman opened fire in downtown Cincinnati. Austin is now supporting Senate Bill 357 and appeared before an Ohio Senate committee saying it would go a long way in preventing dangerous people from owning a gun. The bill would add a new factor to background checks, requiring a behavior risk assessment to deem if someone is suicidal or homicidal before purchasing a firearm. Anti-gun regulation groups are against the bill. A new bill complicating citizens' ability to put constitutional amendments before Ohio voters is facing oppression from hundreds of community groups. The new law will require a supermajority of 60% to pass citizen-led amendments. Legislative leaders have been petitioned to overturn the proposal, which is backed by Republican Secretary of State Frank LaRose. Opponents say Ohio lawmakers will not have to deal with the same rules put in place for citizens. Republican West Virginia State Delegate Moore Capito is running for governor. Capito announced his campaign through a social media post on Tuesday. He hopes to follow after Republican Governor Jim Justice, who was not rerun due to term limitations. Moore lists his priorities as opening West Virginia for business, energy independence, and a family-focused future.
Good afternoon. I'm your forecaster for tonight, Erin Ashley, and right now we're seeing very clear skies. That's because we've got some building high pressure in our area, but that temperature is sitting right just above freezing. And I got bad news for you. This wind down here, it's feeling a lot colder. 27 degrees is what it feels like, and that's because we're seeing a breeze from the west coming in and just making things feel a lot chillier than they actually are. And so if we could go ahead and look at the visible satellite image, you can see that this huge thing of clouds just stretching across the entirety of the continental United States came through this morning. We saw some stray clouds sticking around for the early afternoon, but right now we're sitting nice and clear. Overall, we had a pretty pleasant day because of that. Partly sunny skies, a little wet outside, a little slick on the grounds again because of that rain we saw earlier this morning. That temperature reached a high of 57 degrees, but by tonight, break out that coat because it's going to feel very, very cold tonight. I'll talk a lot about it in my full forecast, but for now, back to you, Taylor.
Thanks, Erin. Ohio University's Patton College of Education is donating thousands of books to low-income families throughout southeastern Ohio. The Molina Foundation has granted the Edward Stevens Literacy Center 30,000 high-quality books to give to at-risk families in southeast Ohio counties. Dr. Julie Francis of Edward Stevens Literacy Center says they are distributing books to almost all local school districts, the Athens Library, and other organizations throughout the region. The Appalachian Center for Economic Networks provided much-needed warehouse space for proper storage of large volume of books. Residents can expect to see more electric vehicles from the city in an attempt to save the environment and money. Newswatch reporter Juliana Colant has more.
The City of Athens is making a switch from gas to electric for its city vehicles. Under a new agreement with Enterprise, the city will get rid of fossil fuel vehicles and lease hybrid and electric cars instead. Currently, the Code Office, Arts, Parks, Recreation, and Engineering and Public Works offices have EVs, but that's not enough, says Mayor Patterson.
But we've got like 30 other vehicles out there.
The city expects more EVs to save the city money, says Deputy Service Safety Director Andrew Chicky.
Now, even though our electric would be higher, it's actually much less expensive to charge up that way, and the vehicle maintenance costs are much, much lower. There are less parts to break.
Residents can expect not only more city electric vehicles, but also more electric vehicle charging stations to be installed throughout the city.
So we are really interested in piloting this with the Athens Fire Station build.
They're now conducting a study for more logical places for EV charging stations. Potential sites include Armory Park and Richland Avenue.
Well, you want them to plug in places where they're also going to, experience your restaurants or your stores or bars,
which will feed back into the economy. The push for more electric vehicles is looking to be the driving force behind Athens' goal to reduce carbon emissions by 50% by the year 2030. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Juliana Colant.
For more information on the plan and when the city will phase out the vehicles, you can go to the City of Athens website. A railroad strike might be averted after the House passes legislation. And Democrats elect new leadership in the House minority. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Can you all live the ultimate retirement? You can.
Acclaimed personal finance expert Susie Orman provides essential advice to make your retirement more successful and secure.
Every little action that you take can make a tremendous difference. It's never too soon to begin. Fear no more.
Susie Orman's Ultimate Retirement Guide.
Thursday at 9:30 on WOUB.
It's the greatest Irish dance show in the world. Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance is a spectacle like no other. An incredible new generation gives a stunning performance. Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance, The Impossible Tour.
Friday at 10 on WOUB.
We wish you the merriest, the merriest you'll cheer. It's
Join Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and their very musical families in a classic holiday celebration.
Sunday at 3 on WOUB.
Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr., Harvard professor, literary critic, filmmaker. He brings a singular passion to his historical journeys on PBS. Join me, Courtney B. Vance, as we explore the life and work of one of the leading chroniclers of the American experience, Henry Louis Gates Jr., Uncovering America.
Saturday at 8 on WOUB.
The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to avert a freight rail strike that could cripple the shipping industry. Mike Valerio has the latest on Capitol Hill.
The president made it pretty clear the repercussions, the ramifications for the country and for workers across the country if we don't get this done, if there is a strike.
The House of Representatives approved legislation in a two-part vote Wednesday to block more than 100,000 rail workers from walking off the job next week. The bill is now in the hands of senators who need to pass it before a strike set for December 9th. For months, there's been a stalemate between the workers' unions and the railroads reporting record profits last year, with one strike averted in September after a tentative agreement was reached.
Once the members looked at it, some of the unions ratified it. They said this is enough, but a lot of union members felt, particularly in the wake of the pandemic, that paid sick leave was something that they had to have.
President Joe Biden asked top leaders in Congress to get involved this week after previously being reluctant to step into the fight. But ultimately, he decided the economic upheaval a strike would cause couldn't be ignored. Business groups fear a freight rail strike would lead to widespread shortages of food and goods, to prices spiking and commuter train interruptions. One economic group estimates it would cost the U.S. economy $1 billion in just the first week. Unions say walking off the job is a last resort, but one they're willing to take so rail workers can get their demands met.
They work really hard, very dangerous jobs. Many of them work outside, exposed to the elements, to chemicals, musculoskeletal injury, and they need paid sick leave.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
The bill now goes to the Senate, which will have to work fast before a tentative strike date of December 9th. U.S. House Democrats have made history with their chosen person to succeed Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi as their party leader. Today, the party chose current caucus chair Hakeem Jeffries to serve as a House Minority Leader next year. The New York Democrat will be the first black person ever to lead a majority party in the House or Senate. Jeffries ran unopposed for the position. He will oversee a Democratic minority in 2023 for the first time in 2 terms. This is not the first time Jeffries has stood out among the leaders in Congress. In 2019, he became the youngest member serving in leadership when he became chairman of the Democratic caucus. Jeffries, in a press conference after the vote, says he will strive to work with the Republicans.
We look forward to finding opportunities to partner with the other side of the aisle and work with them whenever possible.
On the other side of the Capitol also has made history. The Senate has passed a landmark bill to protect the same-sex and interracial marriage. 12 Republicans crossed the aisle to join all members of the Democratic caucus to pass the Respect for Marriage Act. The purpose of the legislation is to protect same-sex marriage if the Supreme Court overturns the 2015 decision that legalized it. It also protects interracial marriage. While the measure doesn't prohibit states from banning those marriages, it would force them to recognize such marriages granted by other states. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer describes the feeling on the Senate floor when the bill passed.
When the vote closed, the feeling on the floor was jubilation and relief, not just for ourselves and our families, but for the millions of Americans across the country whose rights will be better protected under this bill.
The threats of severe weather continued in the South today. That story is still ahead.
and how that same system has impacted our temperatures right here in southeastern Ohio in my full forecast. But meanwhile, check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
We wish you the merriest, the merriest. You'll cheer. It's a young.
Join Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and their very musical families in a classic holiday celebration.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That will bring us back to do.
Sunday at 3 on WOUB.
Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr., Harvard professor, literary critic, filmmaker. He brings a singular passion to his historical journeys on PBS. Join me, Courtney B. Vance, as we explore the life and work of one of the leading chroniclers of the American experience, Henry Louis Gates Jr., Uncovering America.
Saturday at 8 on WOUB.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves. Join me this holiday season for a colorful musical celebration of Christmas all across Europe. We'll explore festive markets, enjoy glorious local choirs, toast tasty holiday traditions with family and friends, and find some time to play in the snow. Along the way, we'll have some fun in the studio, sharing the latest tips about traveling smartly. It's my 2-hour holiday special, European Christmas.
Saturday at 5 on WOUB.
Frank Sinatra was in his prime form for a 1967 TV special. Joined by Ella Fitzgerald.
That's why the lady is a tramp.
And musician Antonio Carlos Jobim.
The girl from Ipanema.
The concert classic.
What now, my love?
Frank Sinatra, a man and his music.
Friday at 8:30 on WOUB.
Welcome back to Newswatch. We saw a very big change in temperature over the past 24 hours, and that's because of this cold front that just barreled into our region overnight and into this morning. Actually, we saw a lot of rain. It actually woke me up way earlier than I'd like to wake up for a nice Wednesday evening. But again, that cold front was the reason for a lot of different things that happened throughout the day today, including that dip in temperature. But another thing I really want to emphasize, and while our region is not being under that wind advisory right now, we did see the effects of those really high gusty winds. Right now, we're looking at areas on the way eastern part of West Virginia. But again, because that system is linked to what's causing these advisories out here, wind has been something that we are considering here in Athens as well. So those temperatures that you saw throughout the day today, while they might be high in the upper 50s, they were feeling a lot chillier. Again, because of that wind chill, we're seeing temperatures dropping into the 30s. But partly sunny skies do not make it feel any better, actually, because we want to see that sun. We want to get a little bit of that warmth. But something I'd like to mention, that temperature low is over 30 degrees of a drop. That is way below freezing as well. So tonight, make sure you bundle up gloves, hats, jackets, you name it, you're going to need it, because those partly cloudy skies are going to stick around, and that'll translate a little bit into tomorrow, but not for long, actually, because high pressure will be dominating for the majority of our area, and that will cause those skies to start to clear up over the next couple of days, allow us to warm up a little bit as well, and so we're feeling a little bit warmer as the week is to go on, but not too much warmer, again, because that temperature tomorrow is sitting at a high of 39 degrees, mostly sunny skies, and that's because the cold front that we saw the other day is really, really strong, brought a lot of cooler temperatures, and again, wind is going to play a strong factor in making this high right here feel a lot chillier, and that low, again, sits way below freezing, way chillier than I'd like for this type of year, but as December is right around the corner, I guess it makes sense, but tomorrow night, high pressure sticks around. Make sure that those clear skies are sticking around, and by Friday, we still have some pockets of high pressure, but that is moving out towards the east, making way for this guy right here. We see rain starting to appear out towards the west on Friday, and so if we look at our weekend forecast, chances for showers are actually appear starting on Saturday. 60% chance of showers and a high of 59 degrees. So while the temperature is getting up there nice and warm, we do not expect to have those outdoor plans be really, really nice because of those rain showers that are just going to pummel our region starting on Saturday. Expect those clouds to really stick around. And again, that cold front that's moving in on Saturday going to drop us nice and low to a high of 43 degrees. Grab the jacket, grab the umbrella because you'll need it, and you'll even need it heading into early next week.
So Aaron, forecaster Jacob mentioned tornadoes in the south yesterday. Is that part of the same system we saw here last night?
Oh, absolutely. And like I mentioned in my full forecast, we did see that long cold front just barrel in from the west into the east. And that was the cause for a lot of chaos that stirred up in the south. We saw a lot of different things, including tornadoes, like you said, but hail I was actually seen up towards Cincinnati, a lot closer to home. But here we just saw a majority of rain. But yeah, same system.
Wow. Well, dozens of tornadoes swept across 3 in the south, killing 2 people and damaging dozens of homes. While the worst of the threat is over, residents now have this long process of cleanup ahead. Gloria Pazmino has the latest.
She was just screaming and hollering. Everybody was scared.
Severe storms and tornadoes swept through parts of the South Tuesday into Wednesday morning. The National Weather Service said at least 30 reports of tornadoes were made since Tuesday afternoon, mostly in central and southern Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana.
You know, we're about to sit down and eat, and wind started hitting. We tried to got to a safe place as fast as possible, and as soon as we got there, it was over.
I made it into what I call a safe room, and by the time I got there, it was over. It might have lasted maybe 15 seconds.
In Mississippi, an entire bridge washed out. Trucks overturned on the highway, and a local firehouse sustaining major damage.
From what it looks like right now, this building will have to come down, and we'll have to start the rebuild process.
In Alabama, this apartment complex was ripped apart, exposing the inside of homes. Displaced residents taking shelter at a local middle school. Threats of severe weather remained during Wednesday morning, but the system is expected to diminish through the afternoon as it makes its way across southeast Georgia and North Florida. I'm Gloria Pazmino reporting.
According to the National Weather Service, the severe weather was driven by warm air from the Gulf of Mexico.
Coming up in sports, hear what Bobcat star won MAC Offensive Player of the Year. That story and more when Newswatch returns.
Dr. Henry Louis Gates Jr., Harvard professor, literary critic, filmmaker. He brings a singular passion to his historical journeys on PBS. Join me, Courtney B. Vance, as we explore the life and work of one of the leading chroniclers of the American experience, Henry Louis Gates Jr., Uncovering America.
Saturday at 8 on WOUB.
Join country music superstar Reba McEntire in concert at the historic Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, performing songs from her first gospel album with special guests, the Isaacs, Kelly Clarkson, Trisha Yearwood, and me, your host, Bill Gaither. Reba McEntire, My Chains Are Gone.
Thursday at 8 on WOUB.
We wish you the merriest, the merriest you'll cheer. It's a young
Join Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and their very musical families in a classic holiday celebration.
the halls with boughs of holly. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That will bring us back to do.
Sunday at 3 on WOUB.
It's the greatest Irish dance show in the world. Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance is a spectacle like no other. An incredible new generation gives a stunning performance. Michael Flatley's Lord of the Dance, The Impossible Tour.
Friday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome back. I'm Grayson Wolf. Tim Albin is your Mid-American Conference Coach of the Year. Ohio football's head coach earns the honor today. After a 3-9 campaign a year ago, he coached the Bobcats to a 9-3 record with a conference championship appearance coming Saturday. This is the first time a Bobcat head coach has taken home the award since 2006, when Frank Solich was awarded the honor. All 12 coaches in the MAC vote on this award. Albin says in a statement released by Ohio Athletics he is honored to receive the award, and it's a reflection on his team, the staff, and the program. Albin is not the only one taking home some regular season hardware, though. Curtis Rourke is the MAC Offensive Player of the Year for his play at quarterback. Rourke finished his season with 3,256 total yards and 25 touchdowns. Rourke also took home the Vern Smith Leadership Award. Running back Sia Bangura earns MAC Freshman of the Year after 884 rushing yards. Rourke is also on the first-team All-MAC with O-lineman Hagen Meservy, wideout Sam Wigloose, and kick returner Keegan Wilburn. 9 Bobcats total are on the All-MAC teams. Moving on to the field, the Bobcats are gearing up for the MAC championship against Toledo this weekend. They go into the matchup winning 7 straight, all over MAC opponents. Albin spoke to the media earlier this week and says it is important for his team to stay grounded and focused.
Earlier, there's 2 teams, practicing right now, and we're one of the 2. So let's take full advantage of it and not get emotional, because it's finally here. Let's just do what we've been doing, with laser focus on preparation.
Saturday's game starts at noon at Ford Field in Detroit. The Ohio women's basketball team has its 2nd win of the season. The Bobcats just got by Dayton for their 2nd win in as many games. Yaya Felder led the way with 20 points and 10 rebounds, which is her first double-double on the year. The game came down to the final seconds as Ella Pope drove to the bucket and made a layup to give the Bobcats a 52-51 advantage that they would hold on to for the final score. Pope finished with 9 points on the night. The next time they hit the court is Friday at George Washington. Ohio men's basketball looks to make it 3 in a row tonight. The Bobcats welcome in University of Cincinnati Clermont to the Convo. Ohio won 2 games this weekend over Eastern Illinois and Alabama State in the Bobcat battle. Miles Brown won MVP of the battle and leads the Bobcats with 13 points per game this season. UC Clermont is also 3-3 on the young season. The Bobcats head on the road for 3 straight games after tonight. Taylor, there's a lot of young players, a lot of new faces for this Bobcat team, but it looks like they're getting in the right way with 2 wins this weekend.
Absolutely, very exciting, and I heard it's a country theme tonight too, so lots of fun over there. That's right. I'm going to toss it over to Erin for weather.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Tonight's gonna be a brisk one. Grab the jacket. We're looking very cold, way below freezing. At 29 being the low for tonight. Mostly clear skies, but do not let that fool you. It is going to be freezing tonight. Athens tomorrow going to warm up slightly. 39 is the high for tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies. It's still going to be very, very cold. You're going to want to bundle up, and again, not going to get too much warmer over the next couple of days. But we are seeing that chance for showers up here as soon as Saturday. That temperature, don't be fooled, again, 59 degrees, but those showers are not going to make it very pleasant to be outside. Here's a look at your entire week ahead. Oops, my bad about that. But if you go ahead and look way early on into the beginning of early next week, we do have a slight chance for snow, actually.
Thanks, Erin. And finally tonight, the French baguette has been given UNESCO World Heritage status. The organization describes the expertise behind the French bread as an integral part of human culture. President Emmanuel Macron has previously championed the baguette, saying he wants it to be protected. He now has his way. The delicious doughy delicacy joins other foods such as Neapolitan pizza and Arabic coffee on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For all of us here at Newswatch, I'm Taylor Mondragon. Stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Now go ahead and take a look at Athens tonight. Have a
Support comes from Help Me Grow, providing home visiting, helping pregnant mothers